In today's video, I'm going to try and make one of my most valuable videos content-wise that I think I have ever made, and it's going to be breaking down the most profitable ways to not only make money on Pokemon, but directly towards TCGplayer. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you to do so each and every week. Outside of that, links are down in the description below. Check out our Patreon if we ever have any spots available to access our wholesale tier pricing, or outside of that, check out the Discord link to be a part of the community in any way. But so jumping into it, like I said at the very beginning of the video, this is going to be one of my most valuable videos, which more than likely means no one's gonna watch it. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully I'm kidding. But it's interesting. When it comes to TCGplayer sales, starting your own business, I understand that there's a lot of intricacies, and I understand there's a lot of work that comes with this. And I know that for most people, they're not really wanting to put in the work to do this kind of stuff. But today we're going to be talking about one company in particular, as well as models to follow, and how you can create your own business that could make you an absolute crap load of money. So the company in particular that we're going to be discussing very briefly is one that if you want to go watch the full-length video, you can go do so on TCGplayer's Seller. That is the name of the YouTube channel. And as you guys can see, the Gaming Co. business model in partnership with TCGplayer. So it's an extremely informative video. If you are someone that is interested in learning how to start your own online TCG store, highly recommend it. It's extremely important. They're going to talk to you how they sell on TCGplayer and have a business model that generates $17 million in revenue a year. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And obviously, they're doing it at a much greater scale, but there are so many things to really take away from this video. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to them doing the seminar. And outside of this video, I highly recommend you check it out. But jumping into the aspects of the video and kind of giving my own personalized touch, this is going to be a video that's more than just Pokemon, which might sound crazy because this is a Pokemon channel, but this is going to be a money talk. This is going to be the reality of the situation, and it's going to be talking about magic. We're going to be talking about flesh and blood and a couple more other things. So the first things first, right? When it comes to TCGplayer, how do you get your foot in the door, right? You have to generate sales and you have to get to level 4 status. If you are curious how to get to a level 4 status, you have to accumulate enough reviews and enough sales over a period of time. I think it's 1,000 is how many it is, but you can always go Google and double check. It's been a while. And once you've hit that point, then you have the flexibility to not only be a pro seller, but be put in the direct program, which are some of the most important and valuable things to building your brand as a TCG store, right? Not to mention with that, an extremely valuable and important piece for those of you guys that are new to it, or haven't even started your own TCGplayer account. One of the biggest, which sounds weird, but yes, it is locked, is changing and having the flexibility when it comes to pricing your shipping. That is something that you don't have access to unless you're hitting that level 4 seller. So more or less, there is going to be a lot of additional benefits, the SYP program, et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to break this down a little bit, and I'm going to explain the real benefits of once you get to level 4. Obviously, in terms of hitting level 4, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know what you need to do. If you want to ask strategies, what do I do? What's my strategy? Honest to God, your strategy is sell cards as quickly as possible, be the lowest listed, get there. Because at the end of the day, we want to talk about what's the best way to extract value. The problem is you're not trying to extract value out of being something other than a level 4 seller because of the amount of restrictions that come with it and how it's going to play into the fact that you're going to not make nearly as much, or it's going to take you a lot longer than if you were to just get to level 4. And that's what you're trying to shoot for here, right? So breaking down a couple of the programs. One is the direct program. Now, this will be discussed in the video. This is something that is also very important to understand. The direct program, it is a program which basically says, hey, rather than you taking your cards that you're selling on TCGplayer and you're taking them and you're shipping them in envelopes and sending them out to customers, and you're getting charged basically 15% plus 30 cents plus whatever the material is for you to ship it out to the customer, right? Which takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, etc. You're going to ship all your cards directly to TCGplayer's office at the end of a week, after 2 weeks, after a couple of days. Depends how many cards you sell in a week or in a month or however long it takes. But basically they have these things called RI pulls, which is after you've accumulated enough cards, then it's time for you to send it in. So it's the cheapest method for you to combine all of your orders more or less into one and then sending it to them. Why are you sending it to them? Because more or less they are fulfilling the orders on your behalf, and you yourself are just reimbursing them for the cards that they shipped out on your behalf. So it's trying to more or less, best way of explaining it, they're the distributors and you're the supplier, right? When it comes to the Pokemon Company, they print a ton of product, they send it to the distributors, and their job is to distribute it to the retailers. That's more or less the connection or the business relationship that you're going to be having through the direct program. Now, one misconception I feel like a lot of people have with the direct program is that they take 50% always flat. That's just how it is. Yes, they do take 50%. However, the huge misconception is that in all instances, that's what they take. That is not true. So if you have an order that is over $3, then the rate changes drastically. And if I'm correct, you can look up the exact rate, but it's pretty much similar to the general standard rate that would be if you were doing the envelope shipping method, right? And so as discussed in the video that I pointed out at the very beginning, they basically came and concluded that on average, when it came to their direct percentages, they actually were paying roughly closer to around the 25 to 30% mark because they had tons of orders that were over that $3 price point. Now you say to yourself, well, Eli, how do you get to that $3 price point? Because a lot of my orders on average are 6 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents, whatever it may be, right? It's pretty simple. You make sure that you're cumulatively building up a large enough of an inventory and a diverse enough of an inventory so that you're going to have multiple different opportunities for someone to purchase from your direct store, right? If you're someone that just has 1,000 of the same card, like Curlia, for example, sure, in theory, you could have someone come in and swoop up and buy 10 of them, right? And there you go. There's your over $3 mark. But you could also have opportunities where someone could also want to buy 10 Archeopses from a certain set, or they could want to buy a couple of Electrodes or whatever it is from another set, and someone's going to have it through direct and you're not going to have it through direct. And since the direct system likes to automate it to where it combines it across multiple different sellers being shipped directly from them, it's going to more or less be to your detriment if you don't have a very flexible and fluid supply of product within your inventory. So building up a larger inventory is an extremely, extremely positive thing, which actually in turn causes it so you make more money in the long run because your margins are going to be that much better with the fee structure going down. So super, super important to kind of understand when generally calculating all of this, right? One of the other programs that they discuss when it comes to making money within TCGplayer is called the SYP program. I've explained this a little bit to people. I'll explain it a little bit more. Basically, like I described with you guys, the reimbursement process is more or less what the direct program is, but sometimes TCGplayer doesn't have the supply to ship cards out for direct, and so you won't see them listed as an available card to sell on direct. So for you guys that are wondering, hey, why is it some of my cards are direct? Why is it some of them aren't? It's because TCGplayer doesn't have their supply of whatever that specific card is available for them to offer it as a direct product. This is where the SYP program comes into play, where basically what you do, you file for the program. Once you've hit level 4, you are the one that helps fulfill their reimbursements, and they sell it for you on behalf, similar to if they were going to do it direct. There are a lot of restrictions that come into play with how this process works, but it more or less gives you the opportunity for you to take all your product, as it's called, SYP stands for store your product, with them, and in exchange, they're handling it as if they were going to create a direct order for you, but you're more or less putting up like a pre-order, right, for a product that's going to become available on direct, and you're helping contribute to that by sending it in for them to have supply for when they're going to fulfill direct orders, right? So it's a really good program, because if you're someone that is short on space, and every single week they're like, all right, we need some more of this specific card. Can you send in 500 Curlias this week? Can you send in 500 whatever this card this week, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, I don't have that much storage to store this many Curlias. I have so many. And I use that example because it's very close to me personally, because I used to have a lot of Curlias, but I sold all of them. Oh, crazy. So for me, it's personal in that regard. So it's an example that I can use much more easily. So SYP, extremely helpful in that regard. Direct, it's a very helpful one when in terms of volume, right? So when it comes to starting your direct program, your SYP program, more or less TCG, this is kind of the two programs you're going to be emphasizing on focusing on, right? So now the next question ultimately is, what is the successful model to be able to make money off of TCGplayer, right? What do I list my cards at? What should I do in terms of overall product that I should sell? How do I acquire this product? There's so many questions that are obviously going to be asked with this, and this is where the fun begins, in all honesty, right? As much as I'm a huge Pokemon fan, and I absolutely love Pokemon, the reality of the situation is, when it comes to Pokemon product, if you look at other TCG sets, or TCG games such as Magic and Flesh and Blood, the competitive market for the games are not nearly, it's not nearly as good with Pokemon as it is these other games. Sure, I can sit here and I can show you these list of common cards or uncommon cards or rare cards that are currently being used in the meta, but if we're being completely honest right now, from a reseller's perspective in the current bulk meta for like the big hitter cards, we're kind of in a weird lull where we're not seeing any sort of regular common uncommon cards that, like for scoop up nets or for Sobbles or Drizziles, specifically Drizziles in the scoop up nets, we're selling for like $3, $4, $5, $6 a piece, right? The most expensive card, more or less, you're going to run across is going to be the Battle VIP Pass, and it's going to be the Nest Ball and the Battle VIP Pass as well. They recently just came out with the Palkia VMAX League Battle Decks, and it comes with 4 of them. So we've already seen a crash in this card. At one point selling for $3, $4, and now it's selling for going on $1 a piece. So prices right now for a lot of these competitive cards are starting to crash, right? And that's okay, because there's still going to be opportunities and money to be made with these cards, because if you're someone that, for example, actively buys and tries and resell bulk, there's always going to be money to be made, because the buying rate at this point for bulk, depending upon, if you have a storefront or not, ranges anywhere between a quarter of a penny to upwards as high as like a penny and a half to 2 pennies, mainly store credit for most places if you're going that high. But I would say on average, we're talking about a penny to a penny and a half, depending upon the site that we're kind of looking at, right? So when you are able to filter through and pull out cards such as these, then obviously there's going to be money made. However, this is where the fun part is, which is, how do you predetermine to acquire these cards without getting absolutely shafted? And obviously there's a lot of LGSs that do have certain ways to prevent this from happening, but ultimately at the end of the day, the most convenient ways to secure that you're going to get product that is going to be of value is by breaking down sealed product that has guaranteed good hits, right? I talked about this time and time again. People gave me crap about it. I still love it. I'm still sad I missed on the GameStop opportunity. Build and battle stadiums, huge fan of it. Now, since the price of the Silver Tempest cards have started to go down, obviously it's become less of a value. Ironically enough, a lot of the Lost Origin cards have actually recently started to go up. So Lost Origin has become a greater value. So at this point, although I do love them both very dearly because there's so much value to be had, I'm starting to like the Lost Origin one a little bit more now. And so for that reason, there's opportunity in Pokemon to find these things. Another great example, I've talked about this before, I'll say it again, trainer toolkits were insane value. It was free freaking money, like 2, 3, 4x value. I broke it down one time in a video a very long time ago where I broke down and said, hey guys, trainer toolkits, you can go buy them right now, 15, 16 bucks for the 2021. Hey, what's inside? Capture energies. Hey, what's inside? Scoop up nets, Crobat Vs. Like, we're talking, including the packs, including all the breakdown of all the bulk, we had at least, I think it was a $47 value before fees. And if you say to yourself, okay, after shipping and fees, what's the value that you're going to be getting out of this? It's still going to be at least walking away with around $40 after shipping and fees. And when you're investing about 15 to 16 bucks, that's 2.5 times return. Like, that's an insane value, right? And you might say to yourself, oh, well, that's a lot of work, Eli. That's too much work. Obviously, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, this is a video about work. But even then, it's not really, because of that $47 number that I'm giving you, the majority or the portion that is going to have the largest amount of value is comprised of like 10 cards, right? Scoop up nets for the longest time were like $5 a pop. There's 2 of them, boom, 10 bucks right there. Okay, you got 4 packs. Depending upon the print, it was Sword and Shield and Chilling Reign. Okay, well, Sword and Shield base, Chilling Reign at the time we're selling for like $4 a piece on TCGplayer. Boom, right there. You just made yourself another $16. That right there, between 2 cards and 4 packs, is $26. After shipping and fees, it's going to be closer to the $20-ish to $21 price point. What, you spent $16 and you've only sold 2 cards and all 4 of your packs, and you've already made your money back? What? That's crazy, right? And it's funny because these items are selling for, I think they were selling for $25 was the MSRP is. But if you're going to TCGplayer, if you're going to eBay, if you're going to Mercari, if you're going to a lot of these other sites, they were flash selling the crap out of trainer toolkits, and the value was insane because of it, right? And so, you know, that's why I'm crossing fingers. I'm banking on the trainer toolkit 2023s to potentially break the meta in that way. So we'll kind of see what that ends up coming to fruition. I see a lot of competitively viable cards in Paldea Evolved. Obviously, this was a set that was short printed outside of booster boxes, so who knows how that's going to affect the competitive landscape. But once again, I digress. Time was really going to tell with that one, but I'm pretty optimistic. But one thing you will find out, however, in the video that you're hopefully going to be watching, it's a 45-minute video with the Gaming Co., that they discuss, and this is where just reality kind of settles in, although opportunity can be found with buying bulk on the market, and as I mentioned, you're trying to prevent the filtering, and that's why buying and breaking down product is going to be the best method. They will tell you they don't buy bulk, really, at all. They acquire 95% of their product, or 90%, I can't remember the exact percentage, you can watch the video and fact check me, of their product that they acquire for bulk is broken down. They have algorithms that they run. I don't have that exact algorithm. I wish I could share you that algorithm on what is the most profitable items to break down. And they discussed it, and they were saying, I think it was draft or set, I think it was set boosters. I'm sorry, I don't know Magic. Was profitable on set releases to open up. Now, granted, they are getting these items at wholesale pricing, but if you really look at the price point right now for a set, for example, like let's talk about March of the Machine, which once again, I don't know much about March of the Machine, but if we're going and we're having a conversation about something like March of the Machine, it's going to cost you roughly around $110 for the set booster display and $100 for the draft. You guys want to know what the wholesale price for that is? $90 and $99. So what is your margins? 20 bucks, right? Or 10 bucks. Is that how much it is? It's not like you're getting it for that much drastically cheaper, right? And if you can find it outside of TCGplayer prices, which TCG tends to be inflated, you're going to have an opportunity to find items and break it down on releases for much, much cheaper. Now, obviously, the only reason why I'm using this as an example is because this was an example given by another individual who does use this exact strategy on breaking down product and going through and reselling it. But Pokemon, Magic, completely different things. I'm not an expert when it comes to Magic. I'm just listening to the advice of individuals who are extremely successful and look to other sets and other games and say, hey, I can make money by calculating it out. Obviously, this is always on a case-by-case basis on which ones are going to be profitable. Baldur's Gate, obviously, is one where it is not profitable. But in many instances, you're going to have Magic, which is a much more playable game when it comes to the diverse pool of cards, unlike Pokemon, to where you're able to find value with a lot of the competitive cards and breaking it down. And what's an amazing part about the Magic world is it is run also through direct. So crazy to say that you can, yes, profit off of opening booster boxes. Like I said before, if you want to watch the full details of that, go watch the video. They literally talk about how they have a full-on machine. It's called a fizz batch machine. What does it do? They open the booster boxes and they run it through the machine and they sell it and they make money off of it. And it's funny because people are saying to themselves, well, yeah, they must, 17 million a year. They must have super stupid good prices then, right? They must have like legacy prices. They talked about it and they said, nope, we don't have legacy prices. We're paying the same prices all of you guys are. So if you ever see that we're on eBay and we're selling things for at wholesale or under wholesale, there's this thing called we need capital and we're willing to burn and churn it because we see better opportunities elsewhere. And we know that if we lose money on this, that's okay because this other opportunity is going to more than make up for the money that we're going to lose from this. And then on top of that, we can also use it as a tax write-off because, cash is king, having that liquidity and that flexibility to make other opportunities and investments, even if it means taking a loss in the short term, can be profitable from a long-term perspective. So that is another thing you also should know about. But like I said, I'm not an expert on Magic, but I am telling you guys that I am starting to look into Magic because specifically Warhammer 40k commander decks are starting to look extremely intriguing with some of the value that you can get from them. And I digress. Moving on, another set. I talked about this actually on the live the other day. Or I shouldn't say another set, but another game, Flesh and Blood. So this one I can speak more to personally because I actually ended up opening and testing out if this was indeed true that you could be profitable with opening up new fab sets. Now, I opened up Outsiders, which is the newest set. I opened it up about 2 weeks after its release. So prices in the market were not at their highest point. They weren't at their lowest point, but the market was figuring out what's worth and what's not worth, right? And what did I conclude? After opening up 4 cases of, was it 4 or was it 6? I think it was 6 cases, if I'm correct, of Outsiders. So a grand total of 24 booster boxes myself. I came to the conclusion, and not the conclusion, but the numbers broke out that if we're just talking about my competitively viable cards and my main hitter cards, I made around $100 to $200 profit. And you might say to yourself, Eli, $200 a profit, that seems like a lot of work for such little money in terms of how much you're making. I mean, you're saying to yourself that you're going to have to sell all those cards off and you're only going to make $200, and that's a lot of time and effort. And if you're saying, okay, you're opening up, 60 times 4 times 6, that you're spending all this time going through and breaking down like all this packs and money for what? Like that just seems not worth it, right? And I guess more or less my kind of answer to you guys on this one is, yeah, it was well worth it because my initial investment, and to be fair, I am getting this from a distributor, so I'm getting this at wholesale prices, was $1,440, and then, shipping and fees from distro. And so walking away making over 10% purely based on the main hits is kind of nutty because I'm currently sitting on several thousand bulk cards of fab that is going to be pure profit. And I'm talking holos. I'm talking like rainbow foil majestics, rainbow rares, common rares, regular rares, tokens, majestic regulars. Like we're talking thousands upon thousands of cards that if I just said to myself, yeah, we're just going to calculate and say, all 5,000 of these cards, when you include that some of them are rainbows and some of them are not rainbows, if we just say to ourselves, it's 5 cents a card, which is super lowballing. Like if I really wanted to, I could say 10 cents a card, right? For all however many cards, like 5,000, we'll say roughly around, which it's a lot of booster boxes. That's half $1,000 in profit right there, which is about a 40-50% margin at the end of the day. That's absolutely insane that you're able to do that. Now, one of the drawbacks of that with Fab right now, and please, Lord, if you're listening, or if you guys at TCGplayer are listening, please give this as an option for direct program, because it is not available for direct. So it is going to be done through the envelope system. So it's going to take a little bit of work. But if you're just saying to yourself, hey, I don't mind investing in a bunch of bulk long term in a set like Fab, which personally speaking, I believe in quite heavily, and just waiting for that direct program to open up, or just more or less sitting on it until the point in which you think it's worth to just start selling bulk lots because it's potentially going to do well over time, you can still break even and or make money off of opening up Fab product. And what's crazy to say about all of this is my luck for what I pulled was extremely bad. Like all the best cards that I got, like all the big hitter cards, there's two different prints. There's rainbow prints and there's cold foils. Rainbow prints are half the price of cold foils. Every single best card I hit, every single one hit a rainbow. Never got a cold foil. And then you've got cards called Marvels, which are super expensive high-end cards, didn't hit a single one, right? So my overall luck, I did not hit any of these big hitter cards. The most expensive value card that I hit was a Rainbow Foil Plague of Hive, which hits for $150. And if you want to try and get the big version, which sells for $350. I did not hit a card that was over $150 in value, which you might say to yourself, Eli, well, that's still a lot of money for one card, right? Well, guess what? I opened 24 booster boxes worth of Fab. You bet your sweet bottom I'm going to hit one of them, considering the statistical probability of hitting one of these fables is 1 in 12. I hit odds. That's all I did. I hit odds. I did not go over odds. I did not go under odds. I hit odds on the cold foil variation, and I hit the rainbow variation, which they're around roughly the same. So the possibility of you doing much better than I did is insane. And now granted, I haven't checked the market most recently because the time has changed, but there's always going to be a new Fab set, and there's a huge competitive market within Fab in general. And that's why I think it's well worth taking a chance to look on these card games outside of Pokemon and see the possibilities of how much profit can be made from it. Before I deep dive too far, because this video is already going on for half an hour, one thing I wanted to do to kind of actually wrap up this video is go over a couple of bullet points, and then I'm actually going to drop the link to the video that I showed you guys, as well as a link to a reselling guide, which was given to the members of the Patreon wholesale access tier program. Once again, it is a filled up position, but if we do ever have an available spot, I highly recommend you check it out because it is well worth the value. Even if you're someone that, is predominantly in Pokemon, just learn to Google search things because there is always going to be value outside of just Pokemon, right? So I want to give out, let's do a full breakdown once again. So TCG direct program. TCG, what are you trying to do? You're trying to hit level 4 seller. You're going to have access to the SYP program. You're going to have the access to the direct program. You're going to have access to flexible shipping. And those are your three biggest kind of benefits once you hit that level 4 seller. This is going to not only increase your volume over time, but it is going to generally increase the general value proposition of volume over sale increments, because time is money, and it's going to spend a lot more time shipping out envelopes than you are just going to send everything to direct in one large batch, right? Next thing up with that is building up a supply when it comes to bulk product. As mentioned before, the misillusion, or the illusion, I should say, of the 50% for bulk, it's not necessarily true. If you sell a card over $3 or more, there is a possibility that you're going to have a natural average over time that is going to go down as you have a more diverse inventory when it comes to your status, right? So getting that part out of the way. Next up in this, how are you going to acquire product? Once again, you're going to have opportunities to acquire product by buying bulk. And this is something that will be broken down in the next little snippet that I'm going to explain to you. But outside of just buying bulk, which can be reliable, which can be not reliable, it really just depends from time to time. There is opportunities to break down product. I gave examples for sealed product from both Magic, Fab, and in Pokemon. So there's opportunities outside of just going and buying. You can also buy it from these other trading card games. And so opportunities, right? That is going to be the main emphasis of this video. It's going to talk about the secrets of both what I've done and what has caused me so far to be successful, and what the Gaming Co., which has done $17 million in sales. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, well, that's a lot of work. Okay, well then that's fine. This isn't a video for you. This is a video for those that are doing this as a side hustle, and you can keep it as a side hustle and make good money as a side hustle. Or if you hate your job and you say, I like Pokemon, I like being a nerd, this is kind of fun for me, then this is how you build your empire, right? So this is going to be a brief reselling guide that I'm going to end this video. Shout out to one of our moderators, Jimothy. He created this, like I said, for the Patreon wholesale access tier. I'm going to drop this down, but it is a really awesome in-depth selling guide that he created on TCGplayer. It also goes in depth in discussing different Facebook marketplace groups. It goes on different trade feedback groups. It discusses on how you can get extra free money, how you can sell certain items, which items are the best to sell, creative ways on how you can make money, sell money, like make money, sell money, make money, save money. And it's just a really well done, in-depth article discussing all the different variations specifically for Pokemon. So I touched a little bit about Pokemon in this video, but I touched about some other card games as well. But this one is even more in depth for other individuals that are just interested in the Pokemon side of things. So if you want to go through, I highly recommend, once again, you read this. It tells you all the awesome, amazing opportunities on how you can really make the most advantage of being a seller, whether it be just through TCGplayer or whether it be through creating your own website, selling on eBay, Mercari, etc., and all other places. But like I said, I will link that down below. But as far as it goes, I knew this was going to be a longer video. I know there's so much more content that can be provided, but this was a huge bulk of the nitty-gritty of things that I feel like is extremely important for you guys to truly understand when it comes to being a successful seller on TCGplayer, finding those opportunities. You're going to have that through the many summary mentions, the summary that I mentioned more or less. I just discussed the benefits of you hitting a TCGplayer seller, and then also the benefits to you having the possibility of making money, whether it be through going and buying bulk off of these various places as discussed in the reselling guide, or whether it be through you going and finding this miscellaneous product that you can break down for value. And you might say to yourself, how do you know about this product, Eli? How did you figure out what's a value and what's not a value? I just did the math. I just looked up the items and what they had inside of them. I watched a YouTube video, broke down the math on the value of each one of these items and said, hey, the math is mathing. This is an item I should probably break down, right? So statistics and probability and just guarantees. Those are the things you gotta worry about. But as far as it goes, that is all for today's video. Hopefully you guys found this video extremely informative. I put a lot of time and energy and effort in this video with a lot of different links that are going to give you options on how you can create your own successful Pokemon empire. But thank you guys once again so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to be a part of the community any other way, check the links down below for both our Patreon and our Discord. But until then, I will see you guys on Thursday's live. Peace.